Yes! Finally! Finally! The hero has arrived! Rafael Leao, Eduardo Camavinga, João Mario, William Carvalho, all fantastic footballers, but they share something even more important than that, and that is that they are all eligible to play for Angola. And since I pride myself on asking the questions that nobody normally wants the answers to, today we ask, well, what if they did? Now, if you saw the video I did a couple of weeks ago, we tried this exact concept out with Suriname. You guys seem to really like it, and I thought it was a really fascinating look at what football could be like in an alternate universe, so to speak. So if you do have any other ideas for second nationality nations that we could potentially move players to, such as this, then of course drop them in the comments. I've already got a huge list I want to try to work through because there's some very interesting nationality changes that can be made. And if you haven't checked out the video I did with Suriname, I've linked it in the description so you can check that out after this. We get like Virgil van Dijk playing for them, for example. But to catch you up, I've now declared for Angola any player with Angolan second nationality, be that because of their parents, be that because they were born there, plane they were on was forced to land in Luanda due to an unruly passenger who'd partaken in one too many tiny bottles of gin, tried to get into the cockpit because, in his words, bloke with the hat has been in there for ages, when is it someone else's turn to drive? Whatever the reasoning, they all now play for Angola. We'll be seeing what effect that has on Angolan football over the next 15 to 20 seasons, or until I run out of time today. Future Matt here, just slipping this in, because if you're watching this video within the first 3 or 4 hours of it going up, over on stream right now, we have probably the biggest stream we've done all year with MTK, because there are 3 Hungarian sides in 3 European finals. I'm just going to leave that there, give you something to watch after you've watched this video. Back to the past, we also have a control test which has simmed through the same amount of time but without the database changes that I'm about to make, so we know what we're comparing it to. We'll also be keeping an eye on the Portuguese national team in all of this, as this is where a lot of the players are going to be taken from to see if they become weaker over the same period. And lastly, the main twist, just like last time, every single season we will be stopping the sim, and any new regens that come through at various clubs around the world that have Angolan second nationality will also now be declared for Angola to see if we can really make them into an absolute superpower. So the leagues I have switched on for this are the Portuguese leagues down to the second division, I believe, and then the top 3 divisions in Angola. The reason I solely went with Portugal as a supplementary nation instead of adding maybe France or England in there as well is because the majority of the players that have Angolan as a second nationality come through at Portuguese sides, occasionally in France and occasionally in England, but mostly Portugal. And just to catch you up on the situation at the very beginning of this, of course, Portugal starts 9th in the rankings, which is, you know, fairly high. Ironically, the exact same place that the Dutch started in the last one. On the other hand, Angola, very nearby, it's almost the same. It's 116th. They've got some way to go, to be honest. The highest they've ever been in the FIFA World Rankings was actually 45th back in 2000, which is bloody excellent if you ask me. They were very much enjoying a golden spell around this sort of time. As you can see, they won 3 Southern African Championships in a 5-year span around that time. They've only ever been to 1 World Cup, and that was in 2006, but they did come 3rd in their group, got themselves an excellent 0-0 draw against Mexico, and Flavio Amado scored their only ever goal in a World Cup in a 1-1 draw with Iran. As for AFCON, they've only ever been to the quarterfinals, which they did in 2008 and 2010, losing out to Ghana and Egypt respectively. I think we've got a real shot on making them go deep into some of these tournaments, maybe even winning an AFCON. And there'll be plenty of them, because AFCON seems to happen 3 or 4 times a year now, right? Florentino Luis you get, Rafael Leao, of course. You've got Camavinga in there as well, William Carvalho, João Mario. There is an insane amount of talent that has now just been plomped into this Angolan side, and I expect big things pretty much straight off the bat. Before we get fully stuck in though, let's have a look at the control test, which is a 20-year sim without any of these changes, to see how they got on over that period. As we can see, Portugal, out of interest, ended up finishing 6th over this period, but were as high as 4th at one point, and honestly could have been higher in that period. We just don't know. As for Angola themselves, my God, okay, we've got some work to do, because they're 46th. They've gone as high as 43rd, and that's without us doing anything in terms of intervention. Oh, I wonder if we could maybe even get them top 20. If this is what they can do without having all those players declaring for them, imagine what they could do when they do start to have those players declare. And if you see any random faces on the regens, of course, that's because of the Z-Gen pack that I run for my other save. It would be silly for me to turn it on and off for this one, so you'll see some players will randomly have faces allocated to them because of crossovers with IDs. And out of interest, the way we'll be finding those regens is every single year when we stop the save, I'll be looking at this screen, which will show, of course, the nationalities of any players that have second nationality Angolan. Obviously, the double ones are all the real players that have moved over, but of course, we can see their CA and PA, so we can see if any absolute monsters were perhaps looking at coming through the youth intake. Oh, there's a guy here that I've just missed who's 5th. Oh, that's kind of sick. One of the add players to playable team players is actually not that bad either, Hussein Juma. Now, sometimes real players will actually decide to declare away from Angola again, as I've noticed in a couple of tests, but don't worry, if they do stray from the path, we'll bring them right back on it again. Let's get stuck in. We're going to go to December to give us a nice jumping off point, and then we'll get really cracking. I don't think there's any new regens, but it seems some of the other guys guys, as I suspected, have tried to switch back. Stop leaving the cause, David. But yeah, any player that comes through with over 120 P8 will become Angolan, of course, if they have that second nationality, and that should lead to some rather lovely things. Right, let's actually get properly cracking now. Get a full year in and see how things start to progress when they get playing some proper matches, and hopefully none of these guys try to jump ship. Looking at you, William Carvalho, and let's just see what's been going on. Okay, so you can firstly see that we are up to 99th. Top 100. There you go. That's what you'd love to see. Straight off the bat. Also, Rafa Leão out Manchester City, and now finally into the top 100. And that's already like a 17-point place gain in 1 year. Now then, let's just see the schedule, of course, what they got up to over the course of this year. Actually did lose at home to Ghana. I presume they qualified. Yeah, they qualified with 2 defeats, presumably both home and away to Ghana, it would seem. Yeah, both by 1-0. And yet again, a couple more guys, Florentino Luis and Castelo Luqueba, have decided to abandon the cause, but they'll get them back, worry not. What I wasn't expecting there is Adal João of Standard Liège, a 140 PA defender. You'll also notice when I make new players Angolan, they'll get removed from this list, which means, of course, they no longer have Angolan second nationality. So some of these guys will just slowly disappear. Decent, really solid start. They just need to pick it up, keep stuff going. It's going to be a very tough year in terms of the fixtures, but I believe in them. You join us in Season 2. Now, they were 99th last time. I'm expecting... Well, actually, it's going to be quite a tough year from those fixtures. I reckon low 90s would be a nice... Okay, step aside. There's a new kid on the block. 76th in 2 seasons. Now, we saw from the control group that they got as high as 41st. They had a really slow period, and then there's some really good wins. There must have been some good wins mid-season. The only explanation for it. And yes, they got their revenge over Ghana, a draw with Ivory Coast, and eventually got to the second round of the African Cup of Nations, which is actually not their best performance, losing to Dr. Congo there. Did score twice, which was nice, and Teka and Nzola grabbing the goals. The qualifiers are looking very, very good for African nations, and the World Cup qualifiers, they lost to Nigeria, but they beat Cameroon 3-0. That's really good. And in terms of the World Cup, well, that is an insanely tight group with Mali, Nigeria, and Cameroon. But getting that victory over Cameroon is a good start, and Mali have got off to a flyer too, taking points off Nigeria. And Florentino. I feel like this is going to be an ongoing battle now. How many times can I set you to be Angolan and declared for nation before you just go, don't feel like it, bruv. I want to be Portuguese. No, the game is severely confused. I don't know why this has happened, but I've got declare for youth level nation, and it's trying to make me declare him for a player called Angola. Yeah, that's right. I'd like to declare all of my honor to this dude here called Angola. This is not helpful, FM. I'm hoping for some actual good regens to be coming through. So here's how they're currently shaping up at the moment. Oh, very interesting. Adal João, the 18-year-old guy, has already made it into the full national team. What's that mean for them? 61st. They are flying. To get up to 61st in 3 seasons, they are absolutely flying along. Now, what that means for them and what they've done this season, we don't know. But you'll also notice that Castelo Luqueba is still considered one of their players, and that's the main thing. Something I figured it would make sense for us to start doing was to actually add in their PA and CA on this screen, since we can see it as well. So you can see that they do actually have some interesting players coming through that are already sort of... There is a guy here, actually, at Famalicão with 139, but he's just Angolan with Portuguese second nationality, interestingly enough. There we have it. Yes, an African Nations quarterfinal. So they've reached another quarterfinal, only the 3rd one in their history, which is certainly worth noting. Going out to Nigeria 3-2 is a little bit surprising, but with Osimhen in there and Chukwueze, yeah, I mean, that was always going to be a tough ask for them, but they did at least reach that point. Despite losing to both Ghana and Mali in the group stage, they still got through. And in the World Cup qualifiers, so this is super important now. I'm seeing a lot of green here, which can only mean good things. And they have actually done it. That is magnificent news. Angola qualify for the World Cup. Really good scenes. Now, I guess the question is, do they have their World Cup schedule? So they're in a group with Norway and Mexico. Tough ones. Not easy matches by any means. I don't know. I feel like they could maybe give Norway a go for them. Obviously, Norway will have Haaland and Ødegaard and all those players in there too, but I don't know, I trust them. Come on, please have someone worth signing over to you. And no, it's just this dude who's... Oh, hang on, no. There is a couple. We've got one. Jose Carlos Lilo there of Famalicão, who's another guy at Famalicão, interestingly. And remarkably, there's another Belgian dude from Standard Liège in here, and Nuno Santos at Porto B. This is a bit more like it now. This is a good batch. Right, okay, so there were 61st. We've got to be like low 50s, maybe? 49. It's just a consistent upward trajectory right now. The fact that they're already top 50. Now, remember... They got to, from what we could tell, 41st last time. They're only 8 positions away from that already, and there's still 16 years left in this test. I wonder if top 20 actually could be possible. So let's see how they got on in the World Cup. It's a nice bump that they've got there. And they beat Norway. Oh my God, that's such a Norway thing to do at the moment, isn't it? Ola Solbakken with the goal, but Ponsiu and Zito with the winning goal for them in the end. It wasn't enough, interestingly, for them to get out of their group, despite there being only 3 teams in there. So in the end, they lost out to Norway based on... Oh, what the... Oh my God. So Norway went and beat Mexico, which means that because of the virtue of the goal difference and the result against Mexico, that's why they came third. That's such a shame. I think we'll see them back for another one because Camavinga and the lads are still fairly young. Out of interest though, the strangest thing, which I've only just noticed, is that Denmark won the World Cup. Denmark beat France in the last World Cup. And the semis was Switzerland, Denmark, Belgium, France. Where's South America? Oh God. Not really. One dude here who's a 119 technically, but I almost feel like we should just give him frankly. So Edson Zhao, one guy. Where are they on the rankings? So it's 49th last time. Have they hit top 40? No. God damn it. They've hit 41st. That's so annoying that they've hit the exact amount. But the fact is, in 5 years, they've already reached the exact point that they took 20 years to get to in the other test, which I think is a good sign of what's to come, but I hope that they continue that momentum. So what's the season been like for them currently? Lots of good stuff in the national qualifier stuff. So that yet another African Cup of Nations quarterfinal. So back-to-back Cup of Nations quarterfinals going out to Egypt this time. They have a really good record against Cameroon as well, it would seem. The question is whether they have any players this year that are worth looking for. Oh, a Spaniard at Milan, because of course. Okay. Perfect. Turns on Portugal, get a good player, but he's a Spaniard at an Italian club. Excellent news. That being said, they do have an absolute goat of a player here in Miguel Costa. 174. The issue with him, I think, potentially, great driven personality, which means we'll probably see the best out of him, but 8 jumping reach on a centre-back is not exactly ideal. I really hope whichever club he eventually moves to, because let's be honest, he will be moving to someone, maybe makes him more of a defensive midfielder, perhaps. 8th. They've been as high as 5th so far, but have fallen as low as 13th at various points. What are they up to? Surely now they've gone top 40 with that, right? They've got, the national team does still have Joao in it. They've also got Capapinha, which is a brilliant name. That's fine. Let's see where they're up to in the world rankings. Oh, that was not what I was hoping for there. They're down to 44th. They've sort of leveled off a little bit at the moment. There must have been another AFCON because there almost always is, although I think they're actually an odd-numbered year, so maybe not. Maybe it's just been a quiet year in terms of what's happening. Yeah, that's probably what it is, actually. So they had the African Nations qualifying Group I, which they have... wow, actually, they've not done super well there. They probably will still qualify for it because I think it's top 2. Oh, that's not started well either. The fact that they've lost to Guinea-Bissau is surprising to me. I think they'll still be good enough, but they are going to have to sort themselves out a little bit. They lost the away game. They're going to have to win the home match and hopefully try and win out against Libya and Burundi. I'd be disappointed if they don't qualify for the World Cup with the group that they've got, considering. Is there anyone interesting? Oh my God. Oh, an Italian at Lazio. Portugal, hi. Is everything all right, lads? I realise Portugal's youth rating is lower than the others, but still, that's a little bit mad. But Mateus Macavela here with a 144 at Lazio. So he's the best player we've had, Gen, so far. Any absolute gems coming through the under-20s? Not really right now, unless we can find them a couple. But that's not what this is about. Let's go see if they finally crack the top 40. They have! They've done it! They had a little drop-off at one point, all the way down to 46th, but this is a big step up. They've gone up as high as 36th at one point, which is really good news, and it seems like they're really starting to make that difference now. Now the big question is how they got on in AFCON qualifying and World Cup qualifying. This is really, really important. So African, oh my goodness me, this is better. AFCON semi-final, beat South Africa 4-1 in the quarters, only go out to an 83rd minute penalty from Musa Niakate. Oh, that was close. And then actually beat Ghana in the third place playoff. And that's nice to see them just getting a win over Ghana. Sorry, Ghana fans. I feel like that's the big rivalry that seems to have established itself here with Kudus getting a goal there. But yeah, Zito's 90th minute goal means they come third at AFCON, which is great news. And you could see there, they've won out, well, not won out. They've won their next 4 matches in the African World Cup qualifiers too. And if Ghana have dropped any points, they'll be ready to pick up on that. Not Ghana, sorry, Guinea-Bissau. And it is in fact exactly the case. They must have won against Guinea-Bissau in there too. I must have just missed it. Oh no, wait, that's Guinea-Bissau, Matt, not them. Yes, they did. They beat them 1-0 and eventually do it by a 1 goal of goal difference. And who do they get in their group? England and Iran. I kind of be funny if they beat England, honestly. I'm looking forward to see what happens there. I think they'd get a good chance against Iran. Now, it's worth knowing that Iran is the first and only team prior to this that they'd ever scored against in a World Cup. So it'd be nice to see if they could go one better and actually beat them this time. Do they have any new young players coming through? Please have someone good in here. Oh, I mean, he's a 134 PA. It's still not amazing. Right, so how have they got on over the course of this year? They drew with England. Hang on, does that mean they won their group? They lost to Germany, albeit 1-0, but they just won their World Cup group. I swear to God. And lost to the eventual winners. Group P. No, they didn't. They didn't in the end because England put more goals past Iran in the end. That's literally all it was, wasn't it? What a great result. A draw with England and a great win against Iran means they do get their first, well, not their first win, their first qualification to the next round of a World Cup, which must have done them some real good. Have they got higher than 30? Oh, they have. They were up as high as 31st, which is a really top amount. Can they crack that top 30? But that's good news. That's very good news. 31st is great, but is there any players that we can change over this year? Come on, please. Finally, someone that's worth looking at here. This is Leandro Felix. He's only at 130, but he has come through at Porto. Oh, 20 determination, though. This lad is almost certainly, if he gets the right amount of football, going to hit that potential. But the question is, 35th. So they have slipped a little bit, but they're maintaining their spot in the top 40. AFCON qualifying, brilliant. AFCON group here, Group E, actually ended up coming third in their group with Nigeria and Congo in there. Cape Verde finishing bottom. The only win they got was against Cape Verde, so despite losing 2 matches, they did progress to the next round, but it's not great for them. As you can see, once again, the old enemy of Ghana coming along to knock them out at that key moment of the second round, so certainly nowhere near as good of an AFCON as they'd had previously. And the group they've got is South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, and Zambia. Not an easy World Cup qualifying group, comparatively speaking. Brings us to the big question. Have we got anyone decent this year? Oh dear, no. Basically, no. So we've reached the halfway point, and I figured we'd check in with Portugal at this juncture. And it seems that, yes, they've had a good time of it lately, up to 6th in fairness. So it seems to be going well for them. Give us more than top 35th again. Okay, they're really sort of... They've hit that ceiling of like 31st and cannot seem to push through it at the moment, but time will tell. In other good news, Pogs brought me a donut and San Pellegrino, because... I'm that guy, apparently. I'm going to eat this now and enjoy Angola's success. The lady took the last jam donut. What a monster. All 3 of them. It's a war crime. That's what that is. Sometimes you just need fuel. We're at the halfway point. Consider this a pit stop, right? This is bloody excellent, by the way. Easy peasy. Although, once again, ahead of Ghana. And they have beaten them. Things are looking shaky for them at the moment. They're sitting 3rd in the group. Ivory Coast and South Africa. I mean, obviously they've had some tough games so far, but it looks like... Of their 2 matches, they lost to South Africa and got the win against Zambia. It's going to come heavily down to that game against the Ivory Coast, but that defeat to South Africa in South Africa could genuinely cost them a lot, and I really don't want them to miss out on a World Cup right about now. But that could all change if they have a world star player. I'm just building this up because one time it's actually going to be right. Oh, that's the worst one yet. Have we managed to crack on a little bit further? Yes, come on, that's more like it. But you'll note a lack of Eduardo Camavinga. But what I would say is they seem to have flourished during this period, but we have now lost the talisman that is Camavinga, but they've peaked now at 26th place. Ooh, 1 off of a top 25. This is massive for them, though, when you think about it, where they started. How's their year gone over the last year? Africa, there we go. African Nations final. 1-0 defeat to Morocco, who have won quite a few African nations in this save already. In fact, we can have a little look just to show you. Yeah, they've got one there. They've got one there. They've got one there as well. And Ivory Coast, no pushovers themselves. But that is a massive result. To reach the AFCON final, beating Ghana in extra time as well. You'd love to see that as well, but look at that. I'm guessing, yeah, Camavinga was playing, so it seems that he retired after AFCON, and I can sort of see that. At 31, he might think, you know what, that's the farthest I'm ever really going to be able to take these guys, but I do wonder if that 26th spot might end up being their peak. There's still plenty of time left, but with losing people like Camavinga, I'm just not sure. And as for the World Cup qualifiers, well, I mean... that should tell you everything. They do not qualify for the next World Cup. They've ballsed it up massively. For the first time in this save, please that there's someone really decent knocking about for them. No, there isn't. Not even close. Oh, God. I suspect they're back into the 30s if I had to go. Oh, my God. Do you know what? That is outrageous. Is that 21st in the world? And they're bloody close. Watch this be the highest they ever get now. But that is exciting times. Okay, so what's this season been like for them then? Yeah, literally, they had a friendly against Guinea-Bissau, and then it's just AFCON qualifiers, and I suspect that this is going reasonably well for them. Yeah, in fact, not only that, they're top of the AFCON qualifying group. Their only defeat so far has come... no, in fact, they haven't lost any games at all. They've already beaten Egypt. Can we have someone good? No, we can't. I don't know what to say anymore. Portugal, where are you? Why? None of these are Portuguese. There's one dude here. I think they must have fallen off now, surely. Yeah, they've fallen off a little bit. They've hit 21st, hit 21st again, but still, 24th is still outrageously good. Could be all downhill from here, but hopefully that isn't the case. Let's see how they've done over the course of this year. So AFCON qualifiers, piece of piss. This time out in the quarterfinals to Cameroon, of all people. A team they actually have quite a good record against. Oh, no way. Oh, that was their goals. Right, okay. They scored twice in stoppage time. I thought they'd thrown it away with 2 goals in stoppage time. World Cup qualifiers, though, that is a ridiculously tough group with Morocco, Dr. Congo, and Nigeria. We now have to rely on... Oh, bloody hell. Okay, so there's a few, at least there's a couple of players, like a 130 and a 138 in the same year, which we will absolutely take, but their best sort of prospect at the moment, really, is Miguel Costa, of course, who's now playing for St. Louis... St. Louis City in the MLS. That's surprising considering how good of a player he actually is. But hey, fair play. 1.4 million they paid for him from Sporting. I'm surprised, honestly, with a guy that's that good has gone to the MLS so early, but maybe he'll come back. You never know. But the question is, has that pushed them up the leaderboard anymore? No, it has not. They did bump themselves back up to 22nd at one point. So something's clearly happened there to allow that to be the case. But they are sort of hovering around now this sort of 21st, well, which was what it was, to 25th spot kind of area at the moment. I just don't know if they're going to be able to push beyond that without some absolute miracle players coming through. So what's happened this year? So they had African nations qualifying, easy as you like. Just bish bash bosh, 12 points on the board. Lovely old job. Oh dear, it's not started well. The group of death really with Morocco and Nigeria has started appallingly, and it looks like they will miss out on another World Cup. No, not particularly, no. And you'll notice that this is being pushed up further. That's because a lot of these players are no longer counted on here anymore either. And this is only showing new players that are coming through, but you can see that the quality levels just aren't there. So just stopping by Portugal at the moment, and they've been as high as 5th as we know. They're down to as low as 8th. I mean, really, there was a brief moment right at the start where they went down as far as 13th, but they've just been a solid top 10 nation this entire time. And I mean, just look at the clubs. How are they getting on? Overall, oh, they're 22nd again. They're right on the cusp of getting to that top 20. And I know, obviously, think of the teams that are above them. Let's have a look at what the year's led to for them. Okay. And another AFCON semi-final appearance this time. They come fourth this time, losing the playoff to Nigeria, but they were very close, only losing on penalties to Tunisia. Very, very close to getting to yet another AFCON final. So that would explain their sudden rise up things. Now, as for the World Cup group, do you know what? They've got a couple of results there, but nah, 3rd place, 6 points is definitely their worst. 15th time's the charm, right, friends? And oh, we started off... Okay, fair enough. It's because it remembered where we were on the list last time when I was looking through players. Right, come on, shove yourself. Oh, okay, that was not what I was expecting at all. But there is actually a dude here, Joaquim de Pidade, or as I would refer to him as Joachim the Pie Daddy. But regardless, he's a player at Vizela. 119, hey, we'll take it. It obviously remembered where on the list I was because I was looking through for any funny names to bring up to you. But sadly, there wasn't a lot available. But here we go. João Pacavida, who has gender Al Ahly, which is just kind of interesting to me. Wow, actually good aerial reach. Very eccentric. I don't like that in a goalkeeper in FM. Love it in real life, not in FM. Good reflexes, solid-ish one-on-ones, unambitious, which is disappointing, but decent determination. So he actually did come through at... wait, hang on a minute. Whoa, hang on. You're 31. Where did you come from? Oh, I see. Because he's now decided to declare for Qatar. That moment when you're so desperate for the next wonder kid, you accidentally mistake a 31-year-old switching nationality to Qatar. Help, it's been a long day, all right? It's 4 o'clock now. I started this in the morning. Let's see. Have they got top 20 in this period? 22nd. God damn it, man. They're so close to just getting 20th or 19th or something. They just need like one tiny stroke of luck, and we don't have a lot of time left to find that luck. But let's see how the year's gone for them so far. So they had African Nations qualifiers. That's pretty much all they've had. But in fairness to them, they've won every game put in front of them. Bish, bash, bosh. 4 wins out of 4. Bang. But now, will anyone be around to help them? Yes! Finally! Finally! The hero has arrived, and his name is Afonso Conceição. He couldn't sound more Portuguese if he tried, honestly. It's what we've waited for so long. He's not going to have much chance, but worry not. I've decided already that regardless of what happens over the next couple of years of this save, I will be simming into the future just to see what happens to Afonso now. He better have a good personality, I swear to God. Please, 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 please. Yes! Resolute. You'll love to see it. Afonso Conceição is the next big thing in Angolan football, and he's a lovely looking right back as well. So they're clearly generating some quality players, just not in the way that we expected, and that's fine. Have they got top 20 this time? No. They sat 21st for bloody ages and now slumped all the way back down to 23rd. They've been so consistent for the last sort of, well, arguably 5 years now, being right at this sort of level. So they've not dropped off in the way that I thought they might do, which I guess we'll take. The question is, what have they been up to this year, though? And AFCON, relatively easy for them as well, knocking out Gabon, but then they lost on penalties to Egypt, and that is just not what you wanted. Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and Cameroon. We've seen them be better than Burkina Faso and Cameroon in the past. I think they should be getting to that final World Cup of this video, hopefully. And maybe that could be their crowning glory. Maybe they can bring our young star with them. Firstly, is there anyone else that's looking good for us? There is actually another new guy. Jose Masunga here of Braga B, a 135 PA, and a 120 and a 126, all in the same season. Just wanted to draw your attention to this, because as the game was simming, I kept seeing this news article popping up repeatedly saying, Crystal Palace finalised Gouda deal. And I just thought to myself, I don't know, I'll be the judge of that. So here we are, £1.1 million from Real Betis. Not a bad player. So you know what? Arguably a pretty good deal. Back to Angolan festivities. You will now see, of course, that our boy Alfonso is into the national team. We already kind of knew that anyway. Is he joined by anyone interesting? Yes, he is. God, I'll tell you what. Conceição, 3 caps for them so far. Looking really, really good at the moment. I mean, he's just developing like crazy. I don't think he's going to be at this club for much longer. Oh, in fact, he isn't at this club any longer. He's at Benfica. Yeah, I mean, he's at Benfica. Isn't playing for them. Please don't do this to us. Do not ruin this player, Benfica. But the question is, are they top 1? Oh, no. They've fallen off. They've had a little wibble and a wobble, and now they've fallen down to 28th, which is the lowest spot they've been in probably about 7 years. Yeah, they qualified for the... Oh, my God. Well, that's the worst possible start imaginable. Bottom of the group. What are you doing? Like, to win away at Burkina Faso and at home at Cameroon, those should be winnable matches for you lot. And now what have you done? The players here is the... Oh, my God, there's another one. There's another... Why is it always so late in these that they happen? Carlos Chiponge is in with 150. Just going to pop him on the shortlist as well so we can keep an eye on him. But other than that, where are they at? And they're slipping. They're slipping. They couldn't quite hold it. And they've had some really poor results in qualifying for various tournaments. And I think that's cost them. Unless they go and win a random AFCON, I think they've had it for the time being until these two can hopefully try and bring things back. But their clubs are going to need to help them out. So what's the schedule looking like for the year? Second round exit to Cape Verde. It's just not good, is it? And World Cup qualifiers, I mean, they're bottom of the group. Bottom of the group. Got anyone in there? They bloody well do. He's French this time. In fact, he's... Wait, no, yeah. This is interesting. So he's a French player with Angolan second nationality at an Angolan side, which is a fascinating turn of events. Ignore the picture, of course. That's just a compliment, an ID mismatch. Already playing loads of game time for them. 19 years old. In fact, wait, yeah, born in Dunkirk, actually. I suspect that he's only just declared for France rather than the other way around. But still, 136 now at 21. It's a little bit disappointing. And who in earth is this? Pedro Kasungu. Wow. I mean, he's clearly just full on. Wow. Okay. They've got a bright future. They're just producing their own talent. They don't need our help. The question is, did they get back up anywhere on the rankings? I can't imagine they did. No, they've fallen down to 32nd now. It seems that their peak was that 21st place. And I'm still proud that they've got as high up as that, honestly. I was not expecting that. I figured they'd get like sub 30, but 21st was very surprising to me there. But that's fine, because we're going to go to the future in a minute. I'll get these guys sorted out, and we're going to go to the future and see how the careers of these two, Alfonso Conceição and Carlos Chiponge, get on in the end. So it's a new day. It's a new me. You may have heard from Future Matt earlier, but that is a totally different matter entirely, because we'll also be talking about, of course, the findings from this video over on stream right now. But I've gone 10 years into the future, because obviously the sim slows down quite a long time after you go quite a long time into the future. You know what I mean? But I thought it would still be fun to check in on our two friends, Alfonso Conceição and Carlos Chiponge, because obviously in the last video of these, we had that guy that did really well, had a lot of questions about him in the comments, didn't want those to go unanswered this time. So we'll start with Carlos. You can see, though, that 127 CA, he never really got that opportunity early enough with Sporting. One appearance for them before moving to Santa Clara on what I presume was a loan, let's be honest. Yeah, it was. Then leaving to go to Stuttgart on a free. Thankfully, things have got a little bit better for Alfonso Conceição. You'll see he did manage to hit his PA, and that's because he currently plays for Real Madrid via Chelsea. This guy was not hanging about one little bit. Did get a few games for Benfica early in the career, had a completely pointless loan spell, but then came back straight into the Benfica first team and was a regular starter for them for the next sort of 5 or 6 years before getting a £40 million move to Chelsea. And then obviously a few years at Chelsea, didn't play very often, and somehow they managed to convince Real Madrid to pay 63 million, where he has now been an absolute mainstay in the Real Madrid defence for pretty much the rest of his career. So certainly one of the best Angolan players of all time. Fantastic career he's had, 84 caps, 5 goals, which isn't bad when you look at it. So at the very least, he managed to achieve something in his career. Also great player IQ too. As for the ranking, well, you can see they actually are on an upward bounce at the moment, up to 29th, but they've fallen down as far as 41st. And their record high since that point was 27th. It really seems like that 21st was their absolute peak of what they were achievable. And I think it is worth noting that top 20 nation in the world, nearly, is extremely good when you consider the fact that what nations are in that top 20. But you live and you learn, and we'll find out more in the next one of these videos. So if you have enjoyed it, that would be fantastic if you could drop a like on the video. That would be awesome. Subscribe if you're new. Got another one coming up of these probably in a couple of weeks, along with a new agent video on top and all kinds of other goodness. And I'll see you guys over on stream. Thank you for watching. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.